What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. And it seems like these videos are going to be about goaltending because the Leafs apparently could be in the mix for another goaltender. Now, I need to address something before we get into this. I think there's people that just click on the video and comment and they don't even listen to what I have to say. There's some people that weren't happy about my Hellebuck video that I made earlier. If you actually listen to what I had to say in the video, I actually addressed the fact that I think that people were jumping the gun and that it wasn't actually a rumor. And then people were commenting in the video, why are you talking about this? It's not a rumor. Why are you making stuff up? I literally said that in the video. I actually literally said that I think people are jumping the gun. But I just wanted to talk about it because Hellebuck's a good goalie. And if good goalies are available, you should at least make a call. So again, if people are misunderstanding why I made that video, all you have to do is actually listen to what I had to say, because I don't think it makes sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I literally said that in the video, but I said if there was any chance that they could acquire him, that they should at least call, because I think it's stupid not to at least make a phone call. We've seen some pretty awful trades in NHL history, and you never know if your team can fleece another team. And I'm not saying that would happen in that deal, but you never know. But anyways, I want to talk about another quote-unquote rumor that I myself, again, did not make up. And this time is about Carter Hart because Twitter is going crazy. He's the #1 trend on my Twitter right now. And David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period said something interesting that I think people, again, are slightly taking out of context. Now, if you are new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe, join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. Also, go check out the QAG, Queensway Automotive Group, if you need a new or used vehicle. The link will be down below. But again, I'm not reporting that this is some sort of big trade rumor. I'm saying that this is potentially something that the Leafs could be interested in, according to David Pagnotta. But we got to start off with why everything is starting to stir up, why there's a lot of commotion. And that's because there was a three-way trade. And, of course, the main piece is Ivan Provorov. And, of course, you're seeing what Philadelphia and LA acquired. But you're seeing Philadelphia get quite the haul. And it's, a mix of players, prospects, and picks. Probably the picks being the most important, because this Philadelphia team has been severely underperforming. They haven't been good. And it looks like there's going to be a little bit of a retooling / rebuilding going on there. And Danny Briere is wasting no time. The next bit of information was when I just kicked my camera. A few reporters on Twitter were reporting, and I believe that they're connected to the Fourth Period, including David Pagnotta as well. I think Darren Dreger even said something that Carter Hart, there could be some trades being worked out with a few teams. Like, people are looking at him and trying to see if he's available, and that phone calls and some proposals have been thrown out there. Now, there was a bit of a cool down effect, though, because the original tweets were making it sound like Carter Hart was going to be traded like now. Like, it was like, oh, like they're working on a Carter Hart trade, stay tuned. And then it was kind of cooled down with, yeah, there is Carter Hart trade talks, but they're not expecting it within the next few days, that this could be pushed until the NHL draft, which obviously is July 1st. But the thing is that we need to, or not July 1st, they're saying that it'll be closer to the draft, and then, of course, leading into like free agency and stuff like that. But Carter Hart being available is very interesting. But what people were then talking about when it came to the Leafs was this video that was posted by the Fourth Period. And in this video, David Pagnotta, the guy obviously you can see on the right-hand side over here, he mentions that one team to look out for, or one team that if you hear being around Carter Hart's name, don't be surprised if it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, there's two ways that we can look at this. One, that the Leafs are actually interested, and maybe they've had previous interest in Carter Hart. Two, that they're doing this just to get clicks and just to get people like me and people on Twitter and literally everybody to talk about the Leafs potentially being interested in Carter Hart. But we'll have to see, because, again, the Leafs are technically in the market for a goaltender. And I know people are not agreeing with that, but let's just really look at this. And I've said this in my last video. Matt Murray is 100% being traded or bought out. The Leafs are not bringing him back. There's no reason for them to bring him back, and I almost guarantee you, like I would bet money on the fact that Matt Murray is not going to be on the Leafs next year. They're going to buy him out. They're going to trade him. Something's going to happen. He's not going to be a Leaf next year. Joseph Woll is cheap. He's under $1 million. He's probably going to be as the backup next season for the Maple Leafs. And Ilya Samsonov is a free agent, and a lot of people are just locking him in to the Leafs and saying that he's going to be the starter. Him and Wall will split time. Guys, you can't just guarantee that he's going to stick around. Just because you like him and he played good and he said he wants to be here doesn't mean he's necessarily going to be what Brad Treliving wants. Or maybe he's going to ask for too much money. Maybe he wants to see what other teams are offering, and he has every right to do that. So we can't just guarantee that Samsonov is going to be a part of the Maple Leafs. Like, you can't just guarantee that that's going to happen. So Samsonov was really good for them last season, and again, I do like the guy, but at the same time, you need to you need to just pump the brakes on whether or not that this guy's going to be a Maple Leaf next season. Now, again, I do believe he's a UFA. I don't think he's an RFA. I could be wrong. We'll have to take a look at that. Actually, I'm really interested now because I can't remember if he's an RFA or if he's a UFA. Because he literally was a restricted free agent. Or no, he's got to be a UFA because where the Leafs signed him. So again, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless, you can't just assume Samsonov's going to be coming back. I'm almost positive he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. But why it's interesting about the Carter Hart situation is because he is a really good goaltender, but the fact of the matter is that he's also had a little bit of injury trouble. The guy has had concussion, he's got knee injuries, he's had a couple little issues here and there. But again, I really do like him, and if the rumors are true that potentially the Leafs could be interested in a guy like Carter Hart, then I'm not going to be against it. But we have to also, as Leaf fans, realize that just because there's a guy saying they could be interested in him, that it doesn't mean that the Leafs are all in on a guy like Carter Hart. And I'm making this video because, again, it's the off season and there's not too much to talk about. And I know people like when I make videos like this. But again, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. I would love to have a young goaltender on the team, but they also have Joseph Woll. Okay, so Samsonov is a restricted free agent still, apparently. I thought that he was a UFA, but apparently he's a restricted free agent. But again, that's still not a guarantee that he's going to stick around on this team. It doesn't guarantee you that he's just going to stay just because you have arbitration rights or restricted free agent rights, anything like that. Like it's not gonna matter. Like it's either he wants too much money and they have to move away from him, or the Leafs end up overpaying him and it's going to look bad. So I don't know what to say there, but I hope that Samsonov's back. I really like him. But again, let's just look at all these options here, right? So Carter Hart, 24 years old. He's played in 55 games last year. Before that, 45. Before that, 27. Before 43. So he's gotten a lot of games in, right? The 2021 season, only 27, a bit of a rough season. But that 2021-2022 season was also pretty rough. That's like below average goaltending. And then again for Philly this year with a pretty bad team, he had decent numbers. But again, if you compare it to a guy like Samsonov, if we go all the way down to his numbers, with a high workload the first time in Washington, he wasn't very good. Before that, in a lower workload, he was pretty decent. And then same thing with the 26 games. Like, he works pretty well like that. But then you've seen him get back up to that 40-plus game threshold and actually was pretty damn good. But then when it got to the playoffs, of course he got injured, but those numbers aren't exactly fantastic. But then you turn over to a guy like Joseph Woll, who 21 games with the Marlies this year was fantastic. 7 games with the Leafs this year was fantastic. And then going into the playoffs, like a 243 and a 915 in 4 games against a team that's literally in the Stanley Cup Finals right now. So if you're looking at this in a way where I said it in the Hellebuck video, if you want to keep Samsonov and Wall, that's completely fine. That's a pretty serviceable tandem, and a lot of people think Wall could potentially be a starting goaltender in the NHL, which that's great for the Maple Leafs if that ends up happening. But Carter Hart is a guy that is 24 years old. That's going to be you could trade a ton for him. You could trade a king's ransom for him, and he could end up being amazing. But you could also trade a king's ransom for him, and he'll end up not being so good. Now, the reason I'm bringing up all these different scenarios is because a lot of people have different opinions on Carter Hart. I still think that at 24 years old, this guy has a lot to prove. Like, he's the same age as Joseph Woll, right? They both are goaltenders that look very good and could be, like, their ceilings are super high. Hart has a much higher ceiling in terms of the hype, but he also has the sometimes inconsistencies of potentially not reaching that ceiling. So I think the Carter Hart talk is basically the Flyers seeing how much they can get for him, and if it's too good to be true, then they trade him. But if these offers aren't really where they need them to be, they stick around and hope that Carter Hart turns into, a franchise starting number one goalie that just is incredible for the rest of his career, which is very possible. But they're probably just weighing the market to see if they can get a king's ransom for him. And at that point, I don't think that they will have a choice. And if that's the case, the Leafs shouldn't be interested because they already have assets that are tied into this team that need to play for this team next season. Like, I've seen people online going, yeah, Philly would ask for Matthew Nyes, a first-round pick, and Joseph Woll. Okay, sure, maybe that's the package. But then the Leafs have legitimately nothing to fall back on. They have no potential young backup in Joseph Woll. They have no star young winger in Matthew Nyes, potentially. And they don't have a first-round pick. So the Leafs can't make something like this happen unless the Flyers are selling low on Hart, which is not the case. I think that they're going to be looking for everything under the kitchen sink for this guy. They're going to be looking for absolutely everything. And they're going to want multiple picks. They're going to want multiple prospects. And they'll probably want a goalie to put in their system as well. So I know they just acquired a goalie, but I mean, come on. They're probably going to look for more. Like, they want to stock up again, right? So, because if they trade Hart, I mean, they're rebuilding. Like, this team doesn't have goaltending. They just acquired one, but they don't have, like, a bona fide number one guy if they trade Hart. So, again, the injury troubles and the inconsistencies are the cons to Carter Hart, right? But the pros is that he was on a pretty bad team, so those inconsistencies could just be related to his team, and that he's very young, and that he does still have that hype and potential around him to be a bona fide number one amazing goaltender for the rest of his career. So this video is kind of nuts because I'm sure even though I explained it, people are still going to be like, why are you talking about this? It's the freaking off season. And I'm excited about trades and rumors and all that stuff like that. So if you like that stuff, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. But I just love talking to you guys about hockey, and especially when stuff like this pops up. Because if this is something that's potentially going to happen, then it's fun to talk about. And again, I apologize if it kind of seems scattered. It's 10 o'clock, and I'd really like to go to bed. But it seems as though I needed to make a video. So if I'm a little bit all over the place, it's because I'm exhausted and this video was super last minute. So again, subscribe, join the squad. Love and appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think down below. Peace.